Good evening, Hell Rats, and welcome to Metal Mayhem ROC. I'm your host, Southern Kale. Hey, we got a good one. A couple things tonight. First, this is my 50th interview. And second, this is my first female artist, unless you don't include my wife, who thinks she's Gwen Stefani all the time, singing away. Uh, we're going to, this is an ex Chastain, ex Tantrum, Kate French from the band Vainglory. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here. How's the weather there in Florida?
It's very beautiful.
Is it nice?
Yes,
Yeah, it's
finally.
been
And
nice here. I tell you, last week it completely flooded, and our basement, we have, I have two stories. My house was flooded, and the back, and I kind of live in the country. I have a couple horses and chickens and whatnot, and it was tough, but I'm so glad it's cleared up and we got through it. Winters are always weird here, but I will tell you that it is definitely a blessing as far as the cost of living goes, because it is horrendous where I'm originally from in California. I don't think anybody can live there anymore because the cost of living is so high. But yeah, it's been really nice here. Blue skies today, and my horses can go without their blankets, and they're really enjoying it too.
has it taken a little adjustment moving from California to a place like Georgia?
Initially it did. Initially it was like a bunch of y'all.
Yeah.
There was that kind of lingo, and you probably experienced some of that too coming from New York. I don't
Oh,
know if did. There was a slight adjustment probably from New York to Florida, which I know that you came from. But it was great because I was just starting a new life with Corbain, and it was just funny the way that things played out. He was on my record label. I auditioned for his band, and I was getting a divorce, and he was with someone, and we just ended up talking and being friends, and I had never really met him because of the audition process, and I needed to learn this mechanism of this machine, and we had to go back and forth, and then we ended up getting together, and then I came out here, and so it was just like this fresh start after. I don't know if you've ever been through a divorce, but it's
I
hell.
have. I have.
So it was nice, and it was just a blessing because, like I said, I couldn't afford anything out in California, and this has just been so much more reasonable. And my son grew up here. He's 25 now. So when we came here, he was 6 or 7. So he went through school here, and the schools here are just so amazing. So it was a blessing. I said to God, I said, hey, if you don't want me to do this, then just shut my shit down, just
All
shut it
right.
down and every step that I took led out here. So it was meant to be, and here I am, and I've got 5 acres, got a little farm, and I love it.
Have you boiled any peanuts yet?
I have not. I have tried things that I had never tried, like boiled peanuts, which is not in California at all. Also, they do their little tradition, black-eyed peas and collard greens, and
Yes.
that kind of thing, which I had never tried before, but I loved it. It was so neat to come here with my son, who was so small at the time, and have my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. They had 7 acres, and we were down there, and they were cooking all the southern food, and it was just a very conducive to the family thing. I really like the southern values here of the older
Yep.
people, and so that was really nice. It's been awesome. I've loved it. And Vainglory, we were based out of here. We're still doing stuff. It's mostly just me and Corbain now, but we've had several different people in the band throughout the years. We may start a new one, since we've got this new album that's going to be coming out here that we're working on now, since we've got a fire lit under our ass because of
There you go.
this thing, which is awesome. So this is a thing that came out. The CD is double, and it's booklet, and it's killer, which I initially put it out on Rebellion Records US, which is my label, which I've got a solo CD that's coming out in the next 2 weeks. Actually, it's called
Nice.
Depth Perception. So Rebellion Records is my label, and initially we put this out on Rebellion, but we couldn't afford what my new labels could afford. We are on No Dust Records in the United States, and then Animated Insanity, or is it the opposite? No, Animated Insanity in the United States and No Dust in Europe.
So if
And
somebody's
so they
looking
put
to
this
pick up,
out.
well, if
It's a
somebody's
double
looking to,
CD.
if they're looking to pick up a copy of that, where can they find that?
So No Dust Records in Europe, nodustrecords.com, and animatedinsanityrecords.com. And it's just killer because it's a double CD for the price of a single. So what it is, it's in my whole history with the band. It's, there was a guy that sang before I sang with them, and this is not him. So there's actually 3 CDs for Vainglory. So this is my history with them. And it's very cool. You got to pick it up.
What was it, 2050? Is that the first album that came
Yeah,
out? And
2050, Vainglory
that's not with you,
2050.
right?
So Vainglory 2050, see, Chastain owns a record. It's called Leviathan Records. And I was initially signed to Leviathan Records in 1994. I did 3 albums with him. And meanwhile, Vainglory is Chastain's baby. His name that was, recommended to Corbain. Corbain picked the name. Corbain or David based everything around Corbain. He's a guitar virtuoso label, Leviathan Records, and then built everybody around Corbain. So he was on Leviathan Records as well. So when the second CD came around, they lost the first vocalist, and he was up in another state. And so that's how I got in the band. Ted Brazier, I think his name was. So it was initially a Chastain baby. It was a Leviathan. Okay. I'm going to sign you, Corbain King, and we're going to take this name and we're going to build this band that isn't really a band around you. And then we're going to release an album based on your playing. Because I don't know if you've ever heard Corbain, but he
I have.
smokes. Yeah.
Now, you're mentioning Corbain. Let me just throw this out. He is the lead guitarist in the band Vainglory.
Yeah.
Just so we know who we're talking about and who we're mentioning here.
Yeah.
Before we can get into all that, again, let's talk about your days with Chastain and
sure.
how that
went. Fast, so I'll slow down.
No, you put out, like, you were there from 1995 to 2004, 3 albums, 6 Society, In Dementia, and In an Outrage. Talk about your time spent with Chastain.
Incredible. I mean, I just like I said, I heard that he had lost his singer, Leather, who
she has a peculiar name, I might add.
I love Leather. Leather is, I will tell you that before I met Leather, I worshiped Leather. Before I knew, I see, what happened was I had a guitar player roommate, and he was a virtuoso, and he brought the CD home of Chastain, and he said, check this out, this chick. And I was always a strong singer, but when I heard Leather, I was flabbergasted. I was like, that's a chick, and I knew that at that point, it's what I wanted to do. So it's just kind of ironic that it came full circle. And then at Foundations Forum, I got signed. I did a demo. I knew he was going to be there, and I did one specifically for him because I knew he had lost Leather. One of my friends was friends with him and told me about it. And we were in an Ingve seminar, and I tripped, and I was like, here's my tape, listen to it. And he went in his room and he listened to it. And then he called me in my room and he was like, this is awesome. You've got to, can we talk about this? I want to, talk to you about some things and stuff. And he's always been a gentleman. I was always like, oh shit, he's going to try something weird, or, because as a woman, you always think some weird shit's going to happen.
Sure.
Never once, ever, never, not even a little, not an inkling of anything, never. And he's been the most respectable, kindest, most professional, almost to the point of too professional sometimes, because he's like charging you for napkins and shit.
That's a good thing.
I gotta write that shit off, but he is an awesome guy. First album I did was Six Society with him. I had no idea what I was doing. Zero. And the recording that I did, we kind of went back and forth, and I did it in a studio on my own. So it was remote. And so he sent me the music, and I went in the studio, who was a friend of mine owned the studio, by myself. And I ran the studio, and I went in remotely and recorded and went back and forth and did it by myself. So it was a green, everything has been an experience and a growing experience. Everything up to the time that I started singing has been one. And Chastain really, put me through the paces. So I did that back and forth with them. I wasn't too happy with what I did because I really didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Can I say that? I don't know.
Yes, you can.
Oh no, oh
We
shit.
don't mind dropping F-bombs here at all.
Man.
No, you say whatever
But
you want.
I didn't know what I was doing, and I wish I would have had a producer there or someone to go, wow, that sucks, or do this, or we're going to do these words here and this melody here, because I think producers are invaluable that way. So I was my
Right.
own producer for the whole thing. I did some pre-production with Chastain. I flew to Atlanta for 10 days when I did get signed, and we did pre-production on basics of what he wanted. Then I flew back to Sacramento and I did the stuff remotely by myself. But the second album, I kind of got more of the hang of it. And that was kind of when the Alanis Morissette thing was big. And I've
Okay.
always wanted to kind of cross things over and, do something that's big, and then popular music, and then do the metal thing too, because I could do both. I danced before. I danced with Broadway Academy, hip hop dancing, and which I'm going to be doing probably in my videos upcoming with my solo stuff. But I did create a new genre with that, which is called pedal, and it's pop metal, and I'm doing it on this new CD with that. So anyway, on In Dementia, I did a little bit of that, and I crossed kind of the Alanis Morissette real loose vocal, where it's not real pitchy, on pitch. It's just kind of loose and yeah. So you'll hear a little bit of that influence in that one. And then the last CD was called In and Outrage, which was my divorce CD. And my ex-husband played on that. And I was down and out. And my studio was in Sacramento, and I was in Vallejo, which is like 100 miles away. It was a long ways away. And my friend that owned the studio, he said, why don't you just get a VS machine, which is these new recording machines, and just do it on your own there, and you'll learn the machine, and whatever. So I called, and I talked to Chastain about it, and he said that he knew of the machine, and I sold my car. I was like, okay, I'm getting this fucking machine because I'm going to do this album no matter what. So I was going through divorce, and my car was a piece of shit anyway. So I sold
It's
that
a good
car.
trade. Good trade.
I sold the car, and I went down to Guitar Center, and I bought that freaking machine, and I recorded that album on there. And then my ex-husband is in a band called Vicious Rumors.
Okay.
So he plays drums for Vicious Rumors, and I knew the bass player, original bass player, and he had been out a while. He had been very depressed and going through some shit. Dave Starr is his name, and I was like, Dave, why don't you just come with us, and do this, do the CD with us. So I got the original rhythm section for Vicious Rumors, the original Vicious Rumors back in the 80s when Carl Albert was alive, which is what I wanted because, I worship the ground. Carl Albert walks on, and now he's not here anymore, obviously. But man, I was in love with him, and he was just the best singer ever. And he was great looking too, and he had such a charismatic personality. Did you ever meet Carl Albert?
I did not. I am familiar with the band Vicious Rumors, though,
Yeah.
being a thrash kid from the 80s, of course.
Yeah, well, he was iconic, and they were on Atlantic Records back in the day, and there was only a couple of metal bands that were on Atlantic. There was Testament, there was TNT, and there was Vicious Rumors, and they were all on Atlantic Records. So they got a lot of money.
Soon followed with by AC/DC.
What's that?
Got to include AC/DC on Atlantic.
Oh, okay. Were they
big
on
band.
Atlantic?
They were on
I'm
Atlantic
talking about
Records.
like in the 80s for the metal
Yes.
department. Were
Yes.
they? Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're probably not on the and on that label anymore. But the early days was Atlantic Records. I can still see that
cool.
logo spinning around on my record player.
Oh,
Funny.
all right. I have a friend
Well,
that collects records like that. His name is Rich Finagle, and he's just a collector of records, and he just listens to them, and I send him one of my CDs. Do you collect records?
I do. I've been lugging them around down here in Florida
I'll
every
send you
time I've
one.
moved. I appreciate
I've
it.
got
We'll
one.
we'll
I'll send you
exchange.
one.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
After
I'll
the
send
show,
you an
we'll
In and Outrage one. I've got one.
cool. We'll exchange
So,
information after the show. Let's get into this Vainglory.
okay. Sure.
Now, you guys have re-released the Manifesting Destiny and the self-titled albums. Is that correct? About 6 months ago?
Correct. That's this. Yeah.
And
Whoa, there it is.
you quickly
Whoa.
mentioned, I want to talk about two songs on that. I wish we could talk about them more.
Okay.
Uh, Waste of Skin.
Yeah.
Uh, that song I listened to it and I said, I gotta listen to this again.
It's brutal.
Brutal. And when it gets near the end, it just even picks up more velocity. And it was like, I love this song. Tell us what that song is about.
Okay, so this is so funny. I'm kind of I'm not real like so I have some friends that are very, very metal, very like death metal, heavy, heavy, heavy. And I have this girlfriend back in Sacramento, and her name's Melody Co. And we're not real friends anymore because of political reasons, I think, or
Oh
whatever it
boy.
was. I don't know. I'm a patriot, and I don't know. She's something. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, ups and downs in life. But she said something to me, and I was in my car, and she goes, "That guy's such a fucking waste of skin." And I was like, "What?" Because that's such a harsh thing to say. I was like, "What the
Oh,
fuck?" And I just always remembered how harsh that was for her to say that. And I thought, this song, when I heard the music, is so aggressive. And I thought about that phrase that she said to me and how shocking it was. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to put that fucker in there. And I told her about it. And before everything changed, and I'm sure it'll change back or whatever. But so that's where it came from. And it's just about, someone, it's actually about our old, one of our members of our band that I just touted as someone that was, oh my gosh, he's so, you talk about someone, you talk them up, you give them, you give them, you give them. I invested a lot of money in the band, bought him plane tickets, done all this stuff. And then he got this girlfriend that didn't like the band or whatever she didn't
ugh.
like. And how that happens. And then she
It's an old
told him to
tale.
quit, and there was a big to do, and he ended up going against us and saying a bunch of weird shit on social media. And so it was kind of my anger towards him. Now they're friends. Everything changes over time. I have no my motto is forgive and forget and move on. You have shit that you go through with people, and then you move on from that shit. But he was an inspiration.
Right.
So
It,
that's
it
where
was
that
a
came
great
from.
title. That's what caught my eye. I was like,
I
look at this.
know.
I
Isn't
got
it
to hear
shocking?
this.
You're like, what?
The next song is Get You Some. And there's a
Mhm.
live version of that on there.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
right at the beginning, I couldn't quite make it out. You dedicated the song to some brothers. I couldn't make the name out. I don't want to misspeak. Who was that shout out to?
It's Diamond Vinny,
Oh,
Diamond
okay.
Vinny. And
Okay.
and we were, and the thing about them, and it's so weird that they're both gone now. So what happened when Vainglory was doing really, really well in 2008 when our first CD came out. We had a lot of people investing us, and it was the MySpace era. We had fan pages, and we were actually around when Epica started, and we were like bigger than them and doing stuff that was, people were really interested in what we were doing. So we got Zach Wild, Black Label Society's web designer, and he was doing our stuff for us. And Black Label Society was about to go on tour with Damage Plan.
Okay.
Okay. You know where I'm leading with this. Okay.
Kind
That
of.
never happened. You know why that never happened? Yeah. So Black Label Society and us, we were connected. And then my friend Michelle Meldrum and her band ended up taking their place. But right after Dime got shot, we were down in Los Angeles at Guitar Magazine's 30th anniversary. I think it was, and Zach was playing, and we were down there, and Vinny was there, and we got to hang out with all of the Damage Plan people. And I got to, we hung out with Barbara Ann Wild and Zach, and we were backstage looking, and I got too close to one of Dime's guitars, and Zach was kind of wasted, and he's like, get away from my guitar. I'm like, hey, dude, I would protect that guitar with my life. And then he walked in the other room, and I turned to Barbara Ann, and she goes, he's such a rock star. Or she said he
Oh,
thinks he's such a
geez.
rock star. And I told her about that on Instagram. And that was a really funny moment for me. But, I wrote that about them because it's just weird. I mean, they're so iconic, that
Yes.
they've gone all of a sudden. But
Zach
yeah.
himself and his guitar, that classic swirly guitar,
Yeah,
very
and the funny
iconic when you
thing
see
is
that.
everybody says Corbin looks like Dime. Everybody, when he had his long hair, they're like, "Oh, it's Dime." Either that or James Hetfield. He's a cross between Dimebag
Right.
Darrell and James Hetfield. It's exactly like him in his pictures. So we always would go into places and they would say that. But I just, because I'm down in the South now, I really wanted to pay tribute to them. And at that time, I think Vinny had just passed away. It's just so weird that both of them are gone. But anyway, that's my story. Yeah, Pantera, and now
Well,
Pantera is back out there with Zach,
yeah,
and they're doing their thing, and so that's pretty wild that all that has happened and it's come full circle. But yeah, that's a tribute to them.
awesome. Well, you
Yeah.
mentioned you're working on some new music.
Yep.
Tell us what's going on. Get us up to speed.
So since we did this double CD, we've got a lot of interest sparked, and our guy that we're working with for media and publicity, Benjamin Niebla,
Yep.
who is an awesome guy, and he was like, you gotta just do another Vainglory CD. So we were like, okay, why not? So we started a new CD a couple months ago, and it's great. We're taking it into kind of a more melodic, old school direction.
Okay.
And so we're getting a chance to revisit that after years of not doing it, and revisit some of the old school. We're trying to keep it kind of a classic thing with a new twist. So it's fun to do. And it's me getting to, really do the aggressive stuff again. But I'm sticking with melodic. I think the last album, you'll see two albums in here. One is more of a melodic, the first one. And the second one is just me fucking screaming my ass off. Doing all that
Right.
stuff. And I went into and delved into the that kind of thing. Of course, it's not like that. I know how to sing like that, but I wanted to kind of try it because so many people were, doing it, and it was so hard and all this. It's not hard at all to do that shit. It's not.
Right.
Anybody can go, blah, 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 okay, it's not hard at all. It's the singing that's hard. So I'm going back to more the melodic, more of the, pretty and classic stuff.
Right.
I think a lot of people were like, "What the fuck did she do on that second one?" Because they weren't
Singing
into it as much,
singing
Because
is just like an instrument, and when you're trying to sing songs, you have to learn how to put emphasis on different parts of the word
correct,
to make it all fit in. You can't just say a word normally. Sometimes you got to
correct. You have to
emphasize it.
articulate, and
Yes,
I
you have to
am a
articulate on that.
professional vocalist. I have taken opera. I have done everything and taken from some very famous people like what was her name? Judy, this lady who taught Barbara Streisand how to sing, and just studied voice for so long. And it took me so long to finally break through to that point of where I could do everything without limitation. And now, I mean, I can do anything. I mean, I could never hit the notes that I could hit now. And I figured it out. It's just placement. So yeah, articulation is important. And I think in doing this, for 40 years now, doing it for so long that I've been doing it, or, close to 40 years, it really is, for me, it boils down to style. I mean,
Mhm.
people can do karaoke till the cows come home, and they can do all this stuff. And I think that that's a fucking waste of time. I really do, because I think you need to develop this specific style that is all your own, and that's something that I have focused on. It's something that is different from me. Now I've taken from different people and done different things, but I can honestly say that throughout the years that I have something that's uniquely, mine. That's something that I can represent as me. So
Very
I've
distinct.
developed that. So I think that's important to do that. And yeah, articulation, and hitting all the super super high notes, and I can even hit whistle notes, Mariah Carey notes.
Ooh,
I've learned how to do all that stuff. So yeah, singing is important in the melodic. And I'm even on this album that I'm putting out. It's called Depth Perception, and it's my solo album. Now it's a pedal album. Like I said, I coined that genre. it's pop metal. But I even sing the pretty melodic opera singer style, which I took in school and did opera singing in college. But I never thought of doing the opera metal thing. And then all these girls started doing it, and they're not really opera singers.
Would you say like a night witch? Night wish?
Night wish. Yeah, but I'm so fucking not into that shit. I'm so fucking not into it. I really am not. Sorry,
It's
people who
radio
are into
friendly
that.
and stuff like that. It's not for all, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people love it though. So I threw it in there. I'm open-minded, I'm willing to do anything. That's kind of why I did the monster cookie thing, cookie monster, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And then I'm doing the that stuff. Okay, you want me to do that? Okay, I'll do that. I'll do anything and throw anything in for a little spice or whatever it takes. But I really believe that, the Rob Halford and the Metallica and that's metal. What metal is to me is a distortion in the voice. And there's a specific suppression that gets you that when you do that. And it's that, yeah, it's that thing. And people look at me and they think, oh, you're not doing that. That's a mic trick or some shit. No, it's not. I sing heavy metal and I've learned it and I've cultured it. I mean, it's like, it's something that you learn through the years of doing it, and there's a fine art to it. And so
Yes.
that is my metal. Rob Halford and Leather made me go a little bit further than that. So I'm somewhere in between that, and I love Hetfield. Yeah, all that stuff that he does, all that. I knew all that stuff,
Awesome.
and it's this power in me, and it's like source energy. It's like God. But it's this strength. There's different sides of it, different sides of my voice, and
Very true.
it's spiritual in any way you want to frame it. It could be power spiritual. It could be spiritual. It is a soul thing though for me, and I love it. I love singing.
Awesome. When can
And I love talking. Can you tell?
when might we expect this new release? Is about how much more work needs to be done on it, and when might it be out?
So the Vainglory one is going to be out probably, I'd say, in August now.
Okay.
Probably, it'll be this year because we're working on it with other things that we're doing too, and working. Corbain's working and doing what we got to do to get by. But we're putting more attention to it now than we did the last one. The last one took forever because we tried to get a band together while we were doing the record because we wanted to have a solid band, and then people kept flaking. Now we're just like, fuck them. We're not doing shit. And we're, focusing on us. We'll get the shit together and get the songs good. And then when we want to go out and perform, we'll go out and do a festival or do whatever here and there. But that one will be out in August. And then mine's going to be out on next month on the 16th. It's already set to release. I have my own record label. It's called Rebellion Records US. So initially that's what this was released on, but we're poor musicians. We have no money. And I didn't want to do a Kickstarter or any shit like that. I fucking hate asking people for shit. I will never do. That's probably why I'm nowhere. Because
this shows your dedication to the music, for sure.
But I don't ask for. I could have asked for a Kickstarter, and maybe we'll do that for the Vainglory album, or money for this or that, or to do stuff. But that's going to come out on February 16th, and that is metal and pop mixed. And a lot of just me personally, it's a personal thing to me. It's a song about, me dying and talking to my son as a spirit. And it's songs about, my childhood and about, remembering the past. And then it's songs about politics and, we better get rid of the fucking Dominion machines or we're just fucked. And, just everything, that's me and it represents myself. So, but Vainglory, since I know the metalheads are looking forward to the real metal, is going to be in August.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I like to wrap up my show with a segment I called the Rapid Fire. Three real quick questions. They don't involve too much.
Okay.
You were mentioning Leather. Who influenced you? Who made you say, man, I want to be a singer? Who did you see that made you? What was your influence?
It's Leather. I mean, who influenced me to make me want to be a singer? I will tell you that I was sitting in a closet with Creedence Clearwater Revival when I was 2. So, I mean, my dad and my mom both listened to records, and I would sit and put the record on. They had their stereo in the closet, and I would sit there, and rock out. And then I had a rocking horse. I'd be like rocking the fuck out, and into Credence with my, So I have been influenced and been doing music since I was tiny and singing my ass off. That's probably where that comes from, my soul, where I tell you I really feel that. And that's probably why. And I was in choir and band, and I'm a musician as well. I don't just sing. This album that's releasing is me playing keyboards and guitar, and my husband playing guitar, and I'm programming drums, and I do everything myself. So, this is rapid fire. Oh shit.
No,
Okay, my
you're
mom,
fine. You're
dad.
fine. You're fine.
Shit. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, you mentioned leather. I saw just when I was doing a little research on everything, her rendition of Barracuda.
Oh
And
shit, I had to sing that on tour. That sucked ass because
is
I'm
it?
not a Heart fan and I don't do it well, but she does it well.
I
Yeah.
always Ann Wilson. I thought always had just a very powerful voice. One of those
Oh,
just
yeah, yeah.
power.
I don't do it for shit though. There was something. Now I could do it. I could do it, with my hands tied behind my back. Now I could just, kill it. But when I was younger and when I was first starting, I wasn't that into it. And I had a hard time hitting notes when I was younger. And so I wasn't really into that. But I did it on tour, and some people hated it, some people loved it. I was stuck.
Right.
So yeah, I sang Barracuda. Yeah.
All
Not
right.
a huge fan, but she's a fucking killer. I mean, she's an icon, so no
Yes.
doubt. Yeah.
If you could had any other, let's say, occupation of your choice, any what would you like? What else would you like to be?
Well, I was a radio DJ, so I did that for a while, and there's fucking not money in it. Ooh, no money. And voiceovers. I did voiceovers. I do voiceovers right now still. So I could do that. What would I really, really want to be? I'd love to be, if I could have anything. I mean, I really want to be a pop artist, a dancing and singing like a Britney Spears or something, but with a harder edge. I really wanted to do something like that, but acting, I did that. Dancing, I love that. A dancer for Beyonce or something like that. I mean, there's quite a few things. So anything I wanted to do that I really wanted. Actress.
There you go. What is the one thing that you want fans of Vainglory and people to know about Vainglory?
That it's from the heart, true metal. It is traditional heavy metal. Corbin and I are husband and wife, and so it's put in. It's very genuine, and I definitely write from the heart. What else about Vainglory? Just that it's very true metal.
I just think you said it best. Comes from the heart,
Yeah,
just
it
like what we,
definitely
what we
comes from the
like to
heart. I
hear.
mean, it is a passion. It comes from passion too. So, yeah.
Well, before we wrap things up, give us a list of all your social media outlets where people can come and get some more info, buy some merch. Let everybody know what your social outlets.
Okay. So, like I said, the two labels that were kind enough to do this for us through Benjamin, which was awesome. You got to go to nodustrecords.com, and that's in Europe, I believe. Yeah, I think it's in Europe. Yeah. Why am I getting? I don't know why I'm getting those confused now. Or animatedinsanityrecords.com to get this beautiful double CD for the price of just one CD. You can get it's two, and it's a booklet, and it's
Perfect.
just killer. It has all the lyrics in it, so it's definitely worth that. And then Vainglory has a Facebook page. You can go to that, and Rebellion Records also has a Facebook page. And we were selling a few on the Vainglory Facebook page. I think we had a link to that, but we want to let them, sell it first, the record label, since they were kind enough to, do this for us, this booklet. We're not going to be like, we got a few of them, but we're not going to be, pitching those first because we want to give them that opportunity to
Sure.
make their money back. Um, So those two record labels and me, I'm on Instagram. I'm always Kate French, metal vocalist. There's actually an actress that took my shit.
What?
And her name's Kate French. And we're friends. I like her and stuff. She's a lesbian actress. I mean,
Okay.
she's not a lesbian, but she acted like a lesbian in a show called The L Word. So she gets a lot
Oh,
more hits than
I'm
I do.
familiar with that show. I've seen that.
Yeah, she gets more hits
Okay.
than I. She stole it.
Ah,
My name. And so once she hit the fucking scene with the lesbian shit, it was all over for me. But
great.
so Kate French, metal vocalist is what I have to say
Okay.
in order to get my shit across. And Instagram. And then I think I've got two pages. I've got an artist page on Facebook, which I never go to, but I think my Kate French page is like Kate French 902 or something like that. It's just some random number. I just, I'm too humble. I think I should have like pitched harder and done things more when I was younger, but I just really like to have friends. Most of my fans, most of my people that are around me are people that are truly my friends. So,
Good.
so that's kind of neat. But I've been into a lot of AI lately. So if they want to see some sexy pics, they can go ahead and check that out. Why not?
Well,
So,
beware of the imposters, the Kate French imposters that might be out there
it's
on
all
Facebook.
me.
Good
It's
deal. Good
all
deal.
me, baby.
Awesome. Well, Kate, thank you very much. This was to me just one of the more relaxed interviews I've done. It was just like two people chatting away, two
That's
friends.
right. And I love to chat. So if you're ever in Georgia and you want to hang out and you want to chat, I'd love to have you and your wife out here. So
I
yeah.
have some family that lives in Ackworth and
Okay.
just north of Atlanta in Dunwoody. And
Okay, that's close. Dunwoody's pretty close. I worked for Estee Lauder company. So that's the glamour side of me. I like the makeup and stuff. I worked for corporate, actually, the corporate company. I was a makeup artist for them. And I did a lot of stuff in Perimeter and Dunwoody area. So they would send me out there a lot of times when someone wasn't doing well or whatever. I needed to promote something. I'd be out in Dunwoody. But I live closer to Athens.
okay.
So that's
It's only it's like an hour flight from Melbourne up to Atlanta, and my aunt and uncle keep, you guys just got to fly up for a day. My uncle thinks he's the mayor of Atlanta, which is awesome, and he practically is. So, well, again, thank you for joining me tonight. Had a great time. We'll get all this sent over to you as soon as it's done, and I appreciate you spending a little time with us tonight.
Awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, for Metal Mayhem ROC, I'm Southern Cal.
Metal for life.
Thank you for listening to Metal Mayhem ROC. Check out our website at metalmayhemroc.com for information on podcasts, archives, links to all our live radio shows, and all sorts of info. Please like, follow, and share with everyone, even your non-metal friends. And always remember to keep it heavy.